And let's start with this one for Chuck Crosby over at the Crosby Law Office. Noble wrote this and said, I sold a property. And Steve, you may want to jump in on this as well. I sold a property about a week ago. A mortgage company is now threatening me and saying they had given the title company the wrong payoff amount to the tune of about $8,000. And now the mortgage company is telling them he's going to have to pay it back. Noble has to pay it back. He says the closing date never changed and they were on track all the time. Is there any way this is legit and this could actually happen? So, Chuck, let's start with you.
Is it legit? Let's start with that.
Okay.
Have no clue. After you sell property, buy property, you get inundated with all kinds of notices from the mortgage company, or they're implying they're with the mortgage company, insurance company. It's crazy. It's crazy how much you get. So is it legit? I don't know. We'd have to call and verify that. The thing is, can it happen? Absolutely. A bank make a mistake? Oh my God, I can't imagine. Sarcasm there. Yeah, they can make that mistake. The thing is, from the buyer's side, that's why you get title insurance. Banks make that mistake, okay? Title insurance protects the buyer. Now, the seller, they're in a little bit of a different category here. They promised to pay the money back, period, okay? Just because the lender says, makes a mistake, they can call it, typo, whatever. The amount of money owed by the seller to his bank doesn't change. They can still come after him for that money. That's why you want to make sure we're talking about a legit organization.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they certainly have all kinds of arguments as to say, hey, wait a minute, what changed? Make them prove their position. But if I promise to pay you $100 and you make a mistake, well, it doesn't make the debt go away.
So what you're saying here is it could be legit.
Could be legit.
You need to contact.
It does happen.
I would suggest, and tell me if I'm right, call the closing attorney to
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guarantee that closing attorney has already heard about it. Because when you send in a payoff on a mortgage, if it has happened where, in my case, it's never been as much as $8,000, but where they have quoted the wrong number. And they'll call back and they'll say, okay, great, we're just not going to release it. It's like, that's a problem. If it's a lot of money, it becomes a title insurance problem. In our case, if it's off a couple of bucks, I'll send them a couple of bucks and then I'll shoot a letter to the seller and say, hey, guy, they gave us the wrong number. If the seller responds, great. If they don't, well, like I said, I haven't seen numbers quite that large before.
That large. Yeah. And just so you know, when Chuck says he shoot a couple of bucks, he's talking out of his own pocket to make things
that's
work,
exactly correct.
Which is why we love Chuck Crosby. Yeah.
Well, I say this, it's going to go out over the air, but it's kind of like marketing, right?
Yeah.
Why would I want the seller and the buyer and all the agents to have a really bad experience? I think it's worth the $100 I think I've done before to just make it, work.
Even though we should point out it would not have been the closing attorney's fault because admittedly here, this was the mortgage company's payoff number to the mortgage, to Chuck or a closing attorney.
Yeah, and by the way, that's also another reason, even if you're doing a cash deal, get title insurance. When doing a closing, before any lender will let us do a closing, we have to issue a closing protection letter, a CPL. And that CPL says, hey, if something like that happens, we're going to take care of it.
But that protects the buyer, Chuck, right? We're not talking about the seller.
And the new mortgage company.
The new mortgage company. Or if you're paying cash, it just protects you as the buyer. But
bingo.
Yeah, we're not talking about seller.
Yeah, no, it's not going to protect the seller. That goes back to the whole, hey, I agreed to pay you $100. You said 99. No, I still really do owe you that extra buck.
Yeah. All right. A reminder, if you hear something interesting on today's show and you want to revisit it, maybe to share it with a relative or a friend or spouse, you can do that. It's easy. You go to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That's one word, LouisvilleAnswers.com. It's a redirect to our YouTube channel, to one of our social media sites, where all these radio shows with video Yeah, you can see not that it's anything worth seeing video, but yes, in person. Again, LouisvilleAnswers.com. And a reminder, if you would like to see what sellers and buyers are saying about our Sokoler team, we're really proud of our reviews. You can go to LouisvilleZillow.com or LouisvilleGoogle.com. That's where our reviews are.